Hey guys, welcome back to another video.
I told her thinking I'm wrong. Love will happen when it wants. No.
So for today's video, I thought I'd do a video about my deliveries with the girls. And then after I have Bentley, I will do a video about the differences between the three. If there's even a difference, you know? I think it's something cool we can talk about. If you like the video, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you can get a notification for every time I post a video. If you don't like this video, please don't watch. Thanks. Okay, so we're gonna start off with Isabella. Isabella is my oldest. She is 2.5. I had her May 26th of 2016 at 5:52 a.m. Isabella was a crazy labor and delivery. It was scary for me just because my first time ever giving birth. Like, she's my first baby. So I woke up at 9 that morning, and actually, no, pause, stop. I started having contractions May 25th. There we go. I told Cairo that I was having contractions, and of course it was my first baby, so I wasn't sure like what was going on. Really, I didn't. And around 9:30, I got up, I took a warm shower to try and help, you know, calm my body down a little bit. And around 10, I got out and I called my mom and I told her what was going on, and she told me to start timing them. We got up around 11 o'clock in the morning, and I went over to my mom's house. At the time, I only lived about 3 minutes away from my mom. What upset me about Isabella's delivery, I keep saying delivery, but about her whole experience was the fact that I knew that something was going on, and besides Cairo, my parents, and, you know, family-wise, nobody else believed me. My mom asked me, you know, like, well, what do you want to do? Like, are you in a lot of pain? Like, do you just want to go check? And because it was my first pregnancy, I decided to go get checked just because I didn't know what was going on. And Isabella's due date was June 10th. I was 38 weeks when I had Isabella. We all decided to go, and I told them, something is gonna happen. Like, I know, I can feel it. I know something's gonna happen. They hooked me up to the machines. The machines are basically to track your contractions, just to A, make sure that they are labor contractions, and B, just to, I guess, see how strong they are. And then you have a second band that goes around your stomach, and that is to hear the baby's heartbeat, to make sure that the baby's heartbeat is still going at the pace that it's supposed to be going. I stayed there for 3 hours, maybe a little bit longer. I think I kind of talked about this in my first video. The head nurse that was there that night, or that day, she came in and she was like, well, you're not having labor contractions, and, you know, they're not consistent. She basically was telling me that my contractions weren't considered labor contractions, which upset me because I knew, still to this day, I resent that lady because I knew something was happening. They sent me home, and I mean, I was still having contractions at this point. Like, I left still having contractions, but they just weren't labor contractions. My hospital still was about 25-35 minutes away from us, so we had to drive home, so 25 minutes. Then right when I got home, my mom was like, well, let's go lay down, maybe that will help. Try to relax your body and get your mind off of the fact that you are having contractions, you know. And we went into her bedroom because at the time I wasn't living with my family. I had already moved in with Cairo. So I had just decided, well, in the meantime, I'm just gonna hang out here. One, just in case something does happen, I want to be with, you know, my mom. And then two, like, I don't have anything to do, so I'm, you know, basically we're just gonna hang out here. I went into my parents' bedroom, and my mom was laying down with me, you know, just trying to keep me calm, trying to keep me relaxed, because I was freaking out. You know, like, the contractions were getting worse, they were increasing, and yeah. So I laid down, and I had only been home for about 15 to 20 minutes. I went to flip over onto my side, or I guess I was like on one side, and I went to go flip over to the other side, and I just felt a pop. And like, when your water breaks, it doesn't hurt. It's just one of those things where you're just like literally, like, what just happened? You know, like, oh my God, I wish I could explain how it feels. I can't explain to you what it feels like. Like, you literally feel a pop. Like, that's the only way I can tell you. Like, you just feel a pop. I sat up like really fast, and my mom was like, what happened? And I was like, I stayed quiet for like 10 seconds, and my mom was like, what happened? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I just felt like a pop. And my mom was like, a pop? And I was like, yeah. I was like, what does that mean? And she was like, okay, get up, you know, like, get up from the bed, basically. And I stood up, and I kid you not, guys, it's like a river. I was just like, I don't understand what's going on. And my mom was like, your water broke. And I think after that, I was in shock. My mom gave me a towel. Cairo, my brother, and my dad were all outside playing basketball. We walked out, and we were like, we gotta go. And they were like, we gotta go where? And I was like, my water just broke. Me and Cairo looked at each other, and we were just like, you know, like, without talking, like, oh shit, it's about to go down. There is a such thing as a mother's instinct. Know it. So we go back to the hospital. They automatically put me in the room because at this point my contractions were so bad. So bad. On a scale from 1 to 10, when you are in labor, those contractions are like a 20. You have to get undressed, put on a gown. They hook you up to the monitors. Even though your water broke, they hook you up to the monitors just to make sure that everything is okay with the baby and that you are having contractions. This is a different nurse, but she goes, you know, like, what made you come in? And I was like, my water broke. They have a test that they do. It's like a Q-tip, and they swab the area, and they test to make sure that it is the anomic fluid. I was only 3 centimeters when my water broke. I believe it was like 3, close to 4. I had finally gotten to my delivery room, like where I was going to have her. From 4 o'clock in the evening up until 5 o'clock in the morning is how long my labor was with Isabella. Like, if you think about it, that's a long ass time. And to think that I was having contractions since when I woke up at 9 o'clock in the morning, I don't know how we do it. I truly don't. I think it's when you get to 7 centimeters, I can't remember, but I think when you get to 7 centimeters is when they give you the epidural. I'm pretty sure. I got to the 7 centimeter point, and they were like, you know, the anesthesiologist is gonna come in and give you your epidural. And I was like, okay. And whenever they come in, everyone has to leave, which scared me because with it being my first baby, I didn't know like what the heck was going on. The only thing that freaked me out is I'm like, well, what happens if I have a contraction while he's like got this big needle in my back? Basically, you have to hunch over, so like this, and you're like hugging a pillow. Well, I was hugging a pillow. And you have this nurse, which both my nurses were so sweet, because they like hold you to help you from moving. And I'm like, well, what happens if I have a contraction? As I'm like hunched over like this, and they're like, you know, we're gonna get through it together. We're gonna breathe. And literally the epidural like for me, it felt like it was only like 2 seconds. It was like 5 minutes, but it was like, and they were like, okay, you know, it's in there, it's gonna take like 10-15 minutes to work. I felt it instantly. Like, I couldn't feel my feet. I was loving it. Now, don't get me wrong, like, when you get epidural, like, you still feel the contractions, but you don't feel them as strong. Some are still really, really hurt, but then some are okay. After I hit 7 centimeters, it went by like that. So I think I started pushing around 5:20, and I had her at 5:42 a.m. The pushing for Isabella was pretty hard just because I'd never been through it before. I didn't know what was wrong, what was right. And the fact that you have to hold, hold your push for 10, they count to 10, hella slow. They're like 1, 2. Now if y'all are like 1, 2, 3, okay, cool. But no, it's like a 1, 2, and then you have to hold it. Of course, if you can't, like, you can, you know, breathe. It was very hard for me and it was very stressful, but I got through it. Once she's out, she or he. Once that baby is out, it's like, I don't know how to explain it to you guys. Like, once you have that baby, it's like you feel like a wave. It's just like gone, you know? Like, here you are, like, you went through a shitload of pain and you had this like beautiful baby in your arms and you feel nothing. That's the only way I can explain it. Like, after you have a baby, like, for me, because I'm acting like it happens for everybody. For me, after I had Isabella, it was like just relief. Like, my body was like, thank God, literally. With Isabella, I didn't tear at all. No, I tore a little bit and they had to sew me up. Pretty much with Isabella, I was in labor a day and a half. I had Hazel and Isabella at the same hospital that I'm having Bentley at by the same doctor. It went about the same for Hazel. So because I gave you guys like all the details of Isabella, I'll just give you minor details for Hazel. Hazel is a year and a half. I had Hazel on June 17th of 2017 at 3:43 p.m. So I had Isabella at 5:42 a.m. and then Hazel was at 3:43. Just kind of cute. Cairo and I went on a movie date on June 15th. So the night before, we went to go watch the premiere of the Tupac movie. We went to go have dinner first, and I told him while we were eating that I was feeling a little bit weird. He was like, what do you mean weird? And I was like, I actually don't know. So I just felt off. During the movie, like halfway throughout the movie, I started having contractions. And I was like, I just feel uncomfortable and I feel like, you know, tightening. It was very light. I could handle it. We got home and I was like, these haven't stopped, you know, like they're still about the same. The length, like nothing really changed since we had started eating dinner. He was like, okay, you know, like, what do you want to do? Do you want to go get checked? Like, you know, like, what do you want to do? And I was like, no, I'm going to try to sleep because I can handle them. You know, like, I'm not in a lot of pain. I couldn't fully fall asleep until like between 5 and 7 is when I got like a good rest. I ended up waking up around 11 o'clock. Yeah, I think that morning. I actually didn't have Isabella with me. She stayed the night with my grandma. And I called my mom and I was like, I've been having contractions since last night, you know, what do you think I should do? And she was like, I think you need to go in and get, you know, just get checked. And I was like, okay. So by 11 o'clock in the morning, they were getting to the point where they were kind of hard to handle. So I called my grandma and I let her know that I was gonna go into the hospital and that my mom was gonna go get Isabella from her. So me and Cairo ended up going to the hospital. Got to the hospital around 11:30. Automatically when you go in, like I said, they hook you up to the monitors, they check your cervix, which I didn't even talk about in Isabella, but they checked my cervix, and I was actually 5 centimeters. I think it was 5 or 6. And the nurse came in and she was like, well, we're gonna break your water. And I was like, what? She was like, we're gonna break your water just to speed up the process. And I was like, oh, okay. That was a major difference between Isabella and Hazel, because with Isabella, my water automatically broke by itself. And with Hazel's, they broke it. Now, when they break your water, it doesn't hurt at all. It was like a stick with like a pointy tip. And the nurse obviously knows like where to put it and how to pop the bag without hurting the baby. And it was literally like that. At this point, I could still handle my contractions. So I was having them, but they weren't like, oh my God, you know, I'm screaming. They weren't bad. Once my waters popped, they got pretty bad. And I hit 7 centimeters in less than 30 minutes. So 7 centimeters came, got my epidural the same way with Isabella. And that helped my contractions a lot. And then 15 more minutes, she came and checked me again. She was like, you're at 10 centimeters, you're gonna start pushing. This was all in the 3 hours that I got there. So I was in labor, like my labor with Hazel went so fast compared to Isabella. That is one thing I got blessed with. Luckily, I was able to have my doctor there for both of my girls. I'm praying to the Lord he's there for Bentley, just because him and I have a bond that any female is gonna want with their OB. You're just comfort. When he's there, he makes you feel comfortable. So he walked in and he looks at me and he was like, are you ready? And I was like, well, I don't really have a choice, do I? And he was like, well, let's do it. So we got in position. I literally pushed her out in 2 minutes. And I'm not even exaggerating. It took me 2 minutes to push this girl out of me. When they told me that she was out, I literally looked up at my dad and I was like, for real? And he was like, yes. And she was here. Like, it was literally fast. And I'm just so curious to know how my delivery is gonna go with Bentley. Which, speaking of Bentley, I've been having contractions all day, so Bentley might be here soon. So my deliveries with the girls were totally different. Totally different. With Bella, it was a day and a half of full-on labor, and then with Hazel, she was here in 3 hours. Okay, well, they had started the night before, but you know what I mean. Both of my experiences with the girls were totally different. They were totally different. I wouldn't trade them for the world. Now, if you're a first-time mom, it is gonna be scary. You're not gonna know what to expect, and you're not gonna know like what's gonna go on, but just know that you're gonna get through it, and it is gonna be okay. If you relax and you trust in your doctor and you trust in the nurses, you're gonna be okay. Of course, every woman's delivery and labor experience is gonna be completely different, but I honestly hope that my story help you get a better view on like what's gonna happen or what to expect, how it might go, how it might not go. If you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. As of now, my next video, I'm thinking of doing a get to know me video or my 38-week update video on my pregnancy. And if this child decides to stay in, until then, after my 38 video will be my birth vlog or my birth experience, something like that. With that being said, I really hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you on the next one.
No, it hurts sometimes, but don't let it go.